The only conclusion I can come to is that Notre Dame is afraid of BYU. They're a bunch of whiny crybaby you-know-whats, and that's why they have reportedly backed out of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They don't want to play BYU, and they actually put out a statement saying, you know what, we're not playing in any bowl game because we didn't make the college football playoff. Is that not the lamest thing? The most pathetic thing that you have ever heard in your life? I mean, I just, by the way, I'm Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports. We cover the Big 12. We're glad you're here, as always, as a part of the show. If you're on the podcast, please drop a 5-star rating and review. And if you are watching right now on YouTube, please hit the like button and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. I had low expectations for Notre Dame. I'm glad they're not in the college football playoff. They are not in a conference. They have a weak schedule. They lost their tough games, and they had no business getting in over Miami, who they lost to in a head-to-head. If we are going to throw out head-to-heads, then why are we even playing the games? I saw all these people saying, well, they would have been favored over, whatever, half the field. Who bleeping cares? Who cares? It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. They lost the tough games. Their schedule was horrific outside of A&M and Miami. And if every year we're just going to say Notre Dame can go 10-2 against that schedule and get into a college football playoff, we are bastardizing the sport. So Notre Dame throws a fit. They decide we didn't make the playoff. We're not going to go out there, and we are not going to play in a bowl game. And they apparently were slated to take on BYU. And people are actually defending them. Notre Dame puts out a statement saying here, as a team, we've decided to withdraw our name from consideration for a bowl game following the 2025 season. We appreciate all the support from our families and fans, and we're hoping to bring the 12th national title to South Bend in 2026. I love what Spencer Cox said. He's the governor of Utah. He responded saying, this is absolutely the right move. Getting embarrassed in a bowl game against BYU would be really hard on the program. Much smarter to avoid playing tough teams so you can keep your brand intact. Let's go, Spencer Cox! Oh, that is outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. I love that. Absolutely love it. He's right, by the way. Notre Dame does not want to go out there and does not want to play anybody that might embarrass their entire narrative. So I want to take you back 11 years. 11 years ago, this website began, heartlandcollegesports.com. I watched TCU go from number 3 to number 6 in the first ever college football playoff rankings the final weekend, a day after they blew out Iowa State 55-3. What happened? The committee had all these lame excuses. They talked about how, they don't have a championship game, and these other teams had championship games, and it was whatever it was. Every year they have an excuse for why it feels like the Big 12's getting screwed, right? What did TCU do? Did they take their ball and go home like Notre Dame? No. What TCU did, it played a bowl game against Ole Miss. And you know what they did to Ole Miss? They won the Peach Bowl 42-3 that year. That's what they did. They beat the bejesus out of them. Notre Dame decided we're taking our ball and we're going home. And it is as pathetic as anything I've seen in college football. And listen, I am not here to defend Notre Dame. I'm really not. Or I should say I'm not here to defend ESPN. Some people are claiming that ESPN was lobbying against Notre Dame, and that's why Notre Dame is doing this, to stick it to ESPN, because ESPN has all the bowl games, and they don't want to give ESPN any ratings. Are you kidding me? ESPN would love to have Notre Dame in the playoff. Notre Dame is, yes, a ratings juggernaut. They want Notre Dame in the playoff. If it was just about ESPN ratings, they would put the Irish in there. So let's be serious about what actually is going on here. This is all about Notre Dame getting its ego bruised. It's all about Notre Dame deciding that they don't want to participate because they didn't get exactly what they wanted. BYU has every right to be annoyed as well. They're still ready to play in a bowl game. They're still eager to play in a bowl game. And by the way, BYU got more screwed than Notre Dame did. Yeah, there, I said it. Pete Mundo on Heartland College Sports. Glad you're here as always. So Texas Tech gets the 4 seed. Let's touch on that here. Once Indiana upset Ohio State, Georgia steamrolled Alabama. It looked like Tech was stuck in that 4 slot. Now, I don't hate it. I'm not upset with this at all. You know, they're probably going to end up playing Oregon in their quarterfinal matchup on New Year's Day. They'll be the first game on New Year's Day in Miami Hard Rock Stadium. I know there was some thought that maybe they would get Arlington, they would get Jerry World. They're not going to get Jerry World. They're going to go down to Miami, where they will play against the winner of Oregon, James Madison, and expect that to be Oregon. Oregon's obviously a heavy favorite in that game. And, you know, if you're Texas Tech right now, and you're looking at this bracket, I think you got to like the way it plays out for them. I mean, seriously, you've got to like this bracket if you are a Texas Tech fan. You could play an Oregon team that's pretty young, and frankly, I think Tech is better than. In the first round, they'll have already played a game. Then in the semifinals, you'll get some combination of Indiana, Oklahoma, or Alabama. I don't think it's going to be Alabama. I didn't like what I saw in that SEC championship game. I think OU beats Alabama, and then you got Indiana, OU. The question is, and we saw some of this last year, does the hot hand continue on, or does the 1 seed dominate because of some rest? The 1 seeds and the teams with byes looked rusty at times last year. We noticed that in the first 12-team college football playoff. So, you know, I think that 50-50 shot, it's Indiana or it's Oklahoma taking on Texas Tech in the semifinals. And then, of course, you get to the Natty, and who knows at that point? Is it Georgia? Is it Ohio State? Is it A&M? I mean, those are probably your 3 best bets if you're looking at this thing down the road. But I just believe as the 4 seed, the bracket sets up pretty well. I didn't want to play Georgia if I was a Tech fan. I didn't want to see them in the semifinals. And you will not have to see Georgia until potentially a national championship game. So that's good news for Texas Tech. This thing is setting up really well for you guys. Now, what needs to happen? Because there's been all this conversation around what exactly this means for the Big 12, how the Big 12 can ultimately get more than one team into the college football playoff. And I'm not going to lie. My fear is that the Big 12 has turned into a one-bid team or a one-bid league. And what I mean by that is that unless everything goes perfectly for this conference, it feels like they are destined to only have one team in the college football playoff. The only way the Big 12 looks like it's going to get 2 teams in, if they can't get BYU in this year, right? If they can't get that to happen, then when's it going to happen? The only way it's going to happen is if you've got 2 top 15 teams. One team is top 4, top 5, like Texas Tech this year, undefeated, maybe 1 loss. And that team loses. And then both teams still get in. That's it. That's the only avenue for the Big 12 getting 2 teams into the college football playoff. And that disappoints me. I don't take any joy in this. But there are 2 things that can happen here, that need to happen here. Number 1, everybody who is a Big 12 fan should be a Texas Tech fan in this playoff. Because immediately BYU was dismissed in part because of how they lost to Texas Tech. I heard all these guys, Kirk Herbstreit, all these guys talk about, well, I mean, Tech was in complete control. We were at that game in Lubbock, and man, Tech just steamrolled them. Tech is doing that to everybody, guys. Excuse me, I'm still getting over this pneumonia. Tech's doing that to everybody. Their margin of victory is the best in the country. And in the Big 12 championship, they were really in the game. BYU had it to a one-score game still late in the third quarter. And once the turnover started kicking in, it was basically game, set, match at that point. So Texas Tech has got to go out there and has got to win a bunch of games in this playoff. At least 2. In a perfect world, it's 3, and they're national champions. Because let's be honest, the one thing that's hurt the Big 12 is the Big 12 has not performed in this playoff. Now, I go back to 2014. I think that TCU team could have won a natty, but we'll never know with Trevon Boykin and those guys. Fast forward a couple of years, OU had Georgia on the ropes, of course, early in the Lincoln Riley tenure, and they lose in the Rose Bowl in double overtime. OU really didn't perform well in the playoff in the late 2010s. And they were the only team to get there from the Big 12. That was during their big run through the conference. Then you fast forward, and the only win that you have for the Big 12 in the college football playoff is TCU beating Michigan. The problem is that TCU then went out there and put up an all-time stinker of a game against Georgia in the national championship game in the most lopsided natty we've seen in years, in decades. So as much as that was a great run for TCU in the Big 12, I think they got hurt based on how that championship game went. Now, I don't know if anybody was stopping Georgia that year, but man, as ugly as that thing was, that was as bad as it could have gone for TCU and for the Big 12. So the Big 12's got to put together a run here, okay? Texas Tech needs to make some noise on behalf of the conference. It's a fact. Every Big 12 fan should be a Texas Tech fan to prove the point that BYU losing 2 games to Texas Tech says more about Texas Tech than it does BYU. It does not mean that BYU cannot compete with the other 11 teams that are going into this playoff. It meant that Texas Tech was that good. That's what Tech is going to have to back up on behalf of the entire conference here. And then number 2, the other thing I want to see is, and this is not something that can get fixed overnight, but the Big 12 really does need to put a focus, every program, on non-conference games against the Big Ten and the SEC. Texas Tech played Oregon State. BYU played Stanford. And I know that these things are set years in advance. I understand that. But, you know, if, let's say, Tech had a win this year in the non-con over Tennessee by 3 touchdowns, might that have changed something with the way that BYU's perceived? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not guaranteeing anything here. If BYU had a non-con win over, you know, pick your team, A&M. I mean, obviously that would be a huge deal. But you know what I'm saying, right? Pick a team out of the Big Ten or the SEC that's somewhat solid, competitive, certainly bowl eligible, if not contending in the top 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the conference. Then you got something to work with. Then you've got a resume builder. And that's what the Big 12 has to do in part. This is not excusing the embarrassment that has become the college football playoff. Okay, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm not excusing the joke of a system that I've covered for over a decade now that seemingly has screwed this league at every turn. That's not the case I'm making. I'm just saying you've got to then do everything in your power. It can't just be about complaining. It's also got to be about putting your money where your mouth is, going out there and doing what you can do to try to change that narrative over time. And it will not happen overnight, but you hope it will happen over time. And that's ultimately what needs to happen for the Big 12, for things to start changing and, God willing, changing dramatically and quickly. Because, boy, does this sport need it. Need it real bad. Sport's a mess. Now you've got Iowa State and K-State opting out and getting fined $500,000 each. And I know that right now you've got a lot of fans with Iowa State and a lot of fans with Kansas State who are not happy about this at all. But you tell me, if you are Brett Yormark, what do you do about this? You just let it go? There's money on the line for the conferences, for the teams, for a lot of people involved here. You just walk away from it all? I know that these programs are going through transitions with their head coaches. I respect this a lot more than I respect Notre Dame's situation, to be very clear. But you tell me, if you're Brett Yormark, on behalf of the conference, what do you do? Just let it slide? I know that these rosters are going to be decimated. We get it, which is why the schedule and the calendar needs to dramatically change in this sport. And maybe this is the wake-up call that we all needed. We've talked a lot about it, so maybe this is the start of changing that schedule, where you got John Summerall coaching Tulane in a college football playoff as he's getting set to go to the Florida job. I mean, you can't make this stuff up if you tried. So, yeah, I get the issue from the standpoint of the conferences, but I also get the team's perspective here. It's not easy at all. But ultimately, Yormark has to hold his teams and programs accountable. Because if they all walk away and say, screw it, none of us want to do this, what does that mean to the TV partners who you do have an obligation to? And once again, I am not and never would lobby for ESPN. But let's be honest, these teams make tens of millions of dollars off the TV deal because of ESPN, because of Fox, and because of TNT. And if you don't like that setup, well, you can go rogue and see how well that works out for you. There are a lot of masters here in all this. And sadly, one of the biggest problems with the entire sport right now is that the master that is ESPN is, yes, too powerful and does have too much sway. And we've talked a lot about that over the last several years at this point. So all these things I completely understand and I'm sympathetic to. But if you're a major Power 4 program and you're like, I don't care, I'm not playing in a bowl game, I got turnover. Okay, well, guess what? You're going to turn down the $60 million check from your TV partners when that comes across? You going to let that thing bounce? I didn't think so. That's exactly right. Of course you're not going to let it bounce. Never in a million years would you let that thing bounce. So you know what? You got to right now play the hand you're being dealt, like it or not. This is what is keeping you financially afloat in trying to compete in the insane world that has become today's college football arena. And if you don't like it, no one's forcing you to do this for a living. And I mean that for the players who are now getting paid, for the coaches, and for the administrators. If you don't like it, find another line of work. We can all sit here and bitch and moan about our jobs. If you don't like it, walk away. Because the fans are the ones who also ultimately end up getting screwed here. They're asked to support and give and NIL and alcohol prices and seat prices and parking and everything else that they're asked to do. You want to talk about the group getting screwed the most in all this? It's the fans. And they're the ones who get the least amount of love and attention in the entire conversation, which is par for the course. Now, we do have some of the other bowl games that have come out as well. So let's just go through these, and we'll talk more about this in the days to come. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time on it here on Heartland College Sports. Please do like the video, subscribe, and drop a 5-star rating and review. If you are on the podcast, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we now have in the Fenway Bowl, BYU and Georgia Tech. We've got Houston LSU in the Gator Bowl. TCU USC playing in the Alamo Bowl. I like that one. Arizona State at Duke in the Sun Bowl. Utah hosting Nebraska in the Las Vegas Bowl. Oh, and then we got Arizona at SMU in the Holiday Bowl. Can Arizona make it 3-0 for the Big 12 against SMU this season? What do you say? Let's make that happen. I'm all in. I'm Pete Mundo. We're Heartland College Sports. We are so glad you are here, as always, as a part of the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Subscribe, like the channel, drop that 5-star rating and review, and we'll talk to you very soon. A lot to dive into during this bowl season. We're going to be back with a lot more content right here on Heartland College Sports. Have a great day.